It's the 20th of September 2020, and today I'm going to be doing a long-term review of the KTM Duke 390. This is the bike that I've owned since 2017, and I'm going to be giving you a long-term review in terms of maintenance and how it feels to ride this bike. When you turn on the ignition, the all-digital dash reads "Ready to Race." The KTM logo. You have your indicators, standard, fuel, temperature. You can set your RPM, or rather your speedometer, in terms of kilometers or miles. You have your date, battery, fuel range, trip time, and how many kilometers you've done. So there's quite a lot of information here. You can see that I've done about 22,800 kilometers on this bike since 2017, which isn't too much. The adjustable lever on the clutch and the brake are awesome to have as an option. It comes standard with the bike, and I think that, despite whatever your liking is, you'll find a setting which is something that is comfortable for you. After 3 years, the engine kill switch, the color seems to have faded a bit. The quality is so-so. You can see a bit of wear on these switches here. Of course, it's been working for the last 3 years. Nothing to complain about. All the switches work, no issues there. All the electronics work perfectly fine in terms of the switches. I haven't had any issues. If you do pressure wash it and you get water in there, that's your fault. But otherwise, there's nothing wrong with the ignition system. I haven't had water entering, the LED system in terms of the display. Nothing like that. The only electronic accessory that I've mounted is the mobile holder and charger. So this has a nice clamp system, holds the phone in pretty tight, so this is something that I liked. Has a charging unit which just comes below here, and you have a USB charging unit, which is where you can plug in your phone. On a tank full of gas in the city, you're looking at about 180 kilometers to the tank. That's until you come on to reserve, and you have 2 points on the fuel indicator when you come on reserve, and those 2 points should give you about 60 kilometers fuel range on reserve. So that's in terms of mileage and fueling on this bike. You will get better mileage on the highway. So in the city, you're looking at mileage which is at around 25 to 25 kilometers to the liter, and on the highway that might go up to 30 if you're being economical in terms of the way you're riding. If you're going to push the bike hard, that's going to fall. Not changed the silencer. I'm running on the stock silencer. The only thing that I've added is, perhaps, as you can see, that sticker there, which is from my archery supplier. I've not touched anything in terms of the engine. No modifications whatsoever. Like I said, the only thing that I have modified is I've added this mobile holder, which is, I think, a necessity. In terms of tires, I'm still running on stock recommended tires, which are the Sport Tech tire wear pattern. Basically, you want to see that the tire is wearing out evenly and that you're using all ends of the rubber. You'll notice over here that there is a little bit of a chicken strip over here. This is the part of the rubber that I'm not actually using when I'm riding. Keep in mind that most of the riding that I've been doing of late have been in city conditions, thanks to the corona pandemic. There's not been much riding happening, so otherwise you'd see most of this maybe used up, not entirely, but at least another quarter of an inch. Right side tire wear, as you can see, The wearing pattern is up to there, and again on this side, this is how much I'm not using on the right side. I think it's even on the left side as well that you'll see that the tires are worn out pretty evenly. Done a good job there, if I say so myself. The gears are a bit clunky, and when you shift from neutral to first, you will hear and feel the gears engaging. So, learning how to rev match when shifting to have the gearbox feeling a little bit smoother is important. In fact, if you're good at rev matching, you can easily go about clutchless shifting on this bike, which becomes quite a breeze. The engine for a single cylinder has its fair share of vibrations in the higher rev range, but if you compare it to, let's say, a Royal Enfield 350 or a 500 single cylinder, the vibrations are negligible in comparison. The handling of the bike is pretty amazing, and the suspension works beautifully in twisty segments. The seat is rather hard, and in terms of the seat height, for an average Indian of about 5'7", you'll just about be able to manage getting your feet flat on the ground. The riding position is marginally aggressive, at least what I term to be marginally aggressive in terms of its riding triangle. If you try to crawl along slowly on this bike, the bike will complain. The engine will overheat due to its high compression ratio. You're going to hear the engine clattering, and there's going to be a rather distasteful noise coming from the engine. So once you get the bike to about 5,000, 5,500 RPM, that's when you begin to smile. The bike sounds better, feels better. The riding posture, kind of edges you towards twisting the throttle a little bit more, and you're hitting 6,500 to 7,000 RPM, and soon after that the bike redlines really quickly. Before you know it, you're going to be doing triple digit speeds, and you're going to be grinning like a bloody hooligan on the bike. If you're riding in a group, trying to explain this to the rest of them just makes them give you weird looks, as if to say, we know you're a bloody hooligan and won't ride slow. But it's the bike, I tell you. But no one seems to want to listen to that. Anyway, you have ample passing power on this bike, anywhere between 0 to 140 kmph, after which the power seems to taper down. You will touch about 170 kmph on this bike if you have a good open stretch of road to do it on. This is if the bike is in stock condition and you've not really done anything much in terms of performance parts to it. If you're looking at the maintenance of the bike, I really haven't had to do anything much on the bike besides actually taking it to the service station for the regular service intervals, which is once every 7,000 kilometers or once a year, whichever comes up earlier. And this is basically just an oil change, oil filter change, air filter cleaning. It'll cost you in the range of about 3 to 4,000 rupees. In the 23,000 kilometers that I have covered, um, I've had to change the brake pads, both front and back. That'll set you about 2.5 to 3,000 each respectively, and you're gonna have to change the chain and sprocket at least after 11,000 kilometers. The tires will last you maybe another 11,000 kilometers. In terms of the chain maintenance, I'm just going to go through a little bit more on the chain maintenance in the little later bit of the video segment. For the chain maintenance, I use gear oil. I know that's going to be controversial over here. Many people are going to say you need to use lubricants like chain lubes and things like that. I really don't believe in that. I actually feel that gear oil, so let me get some over here. I have something lying around. So this is what I use. So this is a gear drive from HP. Costs about 127 bucks. Yeah, and that's going to last you for more than a year. In terms of, you can clean your chain with that, and it also works as a lube. It flings off the mud from the chain, especially when you're looking at raining conditions, pretty much like what it is today in Bangalore. Yeah, it's going to help you on the long run keep your chain maintained well and cost efficiently. It's going to fling a lot of grease off your chain, so you're going to have the back end kind of gathering up a little bit of muck like what you see over here, but there's nothing wrong with that. You can just easily clean that off with a pressure wash or a little bit of grease itself. You just put a little bit of oil over there and remove that. you'll see this, that the chain is actually beautifully lubricated. I haven't touched it today. This has been oiled, I would say about a week back. The one downside to oiling the chain is that you're gonna have your garage floor looking a bit like that. It's going to be a little bit of oily grease spots here and there, but that again is something which I don't worry about too much. I like the way that this performs. Sometimes on a long drive I might use a different lubricant, and maybe I'll show you a can of that later. One thing which I haven't changed, but I will say is a necessity, and one must change that on the KTM, is this engine guard. This is plastic and not really very strong. So what happened a little while ago was essentially I was riding a little bit fast on a bad road. I had a large stone which was picked up by the front wheel, hit the engine guard over here, which basically fractured the entire thing. So this entire piece broke, and the piece of stone hit the oil filter, and this is, I'm not one of those people that washes their bike very regularly, especially when it's raining. So yeah, there's a bit of mud here, but you'll see that after the oil cap here, there's the second part of the engine. This is not the outer case, so this is a part of the second casing, the second shell of the engine, which comes around here. So what I had to have done was have this entire section of the engine replaced. So the engine had to be removed, and that set me back about, I think that was about 18,000 to have that replaced, including the labor for having that fixed. So something as cheap as an engine guard and putting perhaps a metal piece over there will help you solve that issue. I still haven't gotten around to doing this because this happened just before the COVID-19 situation, lockdown happened, and I still haven't got myself a metal engine guard. Yep, that's the first thing I need to do as soon as possible.